Peace, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Rashawn, aka Looker, and this is the Space Invaders TV. This is our channel here. Peace and blessings to all of y'all, man. Today is April the 8th, and we just gonna jump right in, man. I want to talk about today being day 9 of the Derek Chauvin trial and the murder and death of George Floyd. And today, man, I've been watching it every day, keeping an eye on it every day. And from my examination, man, well, from what I'm seeing, every day the prosecution is winning. They winning. And today, like I said, today is April the 8th, 2021, and today was no different, man. They're kicking Chauvin's defense. He has one defense lawyer, kicking his tail, and he's going up against a whole prosecution team. You know what I'm saying, in this trial, and he can't win. Pretty much if you watching it, and I say if you like watching those detective shows, cop shows, I'm not into none of them shows, but I like to watch. I'm watching this, and this is something real. And this ain't no, so I don't really get in them cop shows. But what I'm saying, if you watch them cop shows and you into those shows, those Law and Order type shows, then you need to get up on this trial. You know what I'm saying? Either watch some playback here on YouTube or whatever. You need to get up on this trial, because you're going to learn some stuff and see, just really how this thing is going. And yeah, so Derek Chauvin, he only has one defense lawyer going up against a team of at least 4 to 5, a team of 4 to 5 on the prosecution side. And like today they brought up some medical experts, and the one doctor they brought up, this guy, he's well documented, and he's top in his field, and his name is Dr. Martin Tobin, and he was on the stand today, and he's a pulmonology expert. And as far as your respiratory and everything like that, and pretty much at the end of the day, to make a long story short, he said it, and there was another doctor that ended off today's testimony, and they're all medical examiners and things of that nature, and they're all coming back to the same point, and saying that he died from the knee on his neck. The pressure on his neck, and then a knee on his back, and then with his hands being handcuffed. Dr. Tobin, this guy is world renowned, and he's like, you could tell by listening to his testimony, he's an older guy, and he's smart. He's good at what he does, and he knows, and he's like a scientist. He's breaking things down to the, like, he even came today on the trial, Dr. Martin Tobin, like, when he spoke today, he even came with a whole diagram. He had someone that sketch the diagram of the incident of George Floyd being on the ground, the officers pinning him down, the other 2 officers, I should say, that were one on his leg, and I think one was in his back. Then you had Derek Chauvin on his neck. He had someone design a diagram. It was in color and everything, and it minus the cop car and showing George Floyd's car. It just showed that incident. And Dr. Tobin, like I say, he was he's a pull. I gotta get that, because it's a funny title. Pulmonology expert. He dealt with the lungs and the whole respiratory system and how you breathe. You know what I mean? And he was just, he was just breaking it all down. And it was so funny because you got to see, it's not funny, but it is quite interesting to see, because I was trying to figure out, okay, now how is Derek Chauvin's defense going to go up against this medical expert that's world renowned, who has got written books. It's not many in his field that do what he do. He's spoken around the country. He's spoken out of the country. Like, and he took this case, Dr. Martin Tobin, he took this case for free. He didn't want the money. He didn't want no money. He didn't want to get paid. You know what I mean? He took it for free. So they go to tell you something right there. He said he didn't want to get paid. So this was like easy for him. He said, he said he wanted to take it because he never done nothing like this before. He had never been on a criminal trial. He said he's been and many he has to go to testify in court, but not criminal, like not in criminal. You know what I'm saying? So he said this was the first, so this was like easy for him. But then you have those speculators that want to say, oh, he's just trying to make a name for himself. The man is already known around. He's known in his field. You know what I mean? Like, people know him. You know what I mean? He's known. He don't need to make a name for himself, and he seemed quite like he knew his stuff. He was breaking it down, and the defense was just trying to trip him up. And he was like, nah. To the point where the defense got tripped up, and to the point where the defense is, well, I see when somebody's getting weak in the fight, that this battle, you know what I'm saying, and this trial going back and forth. Well, I see Derek Chauvin's defense lawyer is getting worn out, because he even got to the point where he said something about Dr. Martin Tobin's his dialect, was getting to him, like he couldn't understand him for a second, or he kept talking about his throat. Now this is the defense lawyer. He was making up the excuses at one point, talking about he kept losing his voice. He was forgetting what he wanted to say. He said he was like, it's been a long week. He's tired, and rightfully so. He's only by himself, and they're kicking his tail every single day. And he's by himself having to fight for someone that is really no fight there, man. So, yeah. And I mean, Derek Chauvin, I mean, just to go down his, life briefly real quick. He been on the force 19 years, you know what I'm saying, in Minnesota. In Minneapolis, I should say. 19 years he been on the force. And in the 19 years, he had 18 complaints. So you break that down, that's a complaint like every year. So as I said last week, if you look at my video, as I said, don't mistake me for what I'm saying right now. What I'm saying is, him sitting on trial for this right now, for him killing someone, murdering someone, Derek Chauvin, this was his destiny. He was working his way up to this. I mean, he has complaints from even some young kids. Granted, the young kids, they were riding around the city with Nerf guns, shooting them out the car windows. Granted, yeah, you asking for something, you know what I mean? But they said the way that he treated them, was a little over the top. Then you had another case where it was a young woman. She was coming from a grocery store, and she was driving home, and I believe she had a baby and a dog in a car with her. She hadn't done anything wrong. Derek Chauvin and another officer pulls her over, and when they pulled her over, he was really aggressive with her, and Derek Chauvin just reached into her car, like her window was down. He just reached into her car, cut her keys off, and you know what I'm saying, and then kind of like they forced the lady out the car and got her into the back of the squad car. Now, they was being real rude to her the whole time, and she's like, she don't even know what's going on. She was asking him why she was being stopped, and he said it was a car of her caliber that did a crime, blah blah blah. So eventually, after a period of time, they let the woman go, and they noticed that the woman had a stain on her shirt, which come to find out that she was breastfeeding. You know, she had she has a baby in the car, so you know she's breastfeeding, so she had leakage from her, you know, her nipples, her breasts, and they made joke about that. You had people talking about like how he was as a kid, like in high school, like nobody really, you know what I'm saying, like he didn't play sports, he was in ROTC, he didn't, you know what I'm saying, like he was a face in a crowd, pretty much, just to sum it up. Like, so nobody, he was just around, it was almost like he was a weirdo. You know, he didn't talk much. They talked about how once he made the police force, how during training or whatever, how he once showed up with, he comes bust out with a police car, you know what I mean, like an unmarked car, you know. This guy, like, I mean, it's just different things that you already know. And me coming from the street life and seeing, like, I already knew that this guy had to be a hothead, you know. And I heard about the different complaints he had and everything of that nature. So it was no surprise to me. Even at a point where Derek Chauvin, he also him and George Floyd worked at a nightclub in Minneapolis. They may have knew of each other, but never really came cross paths, because from my understanding and from my readings, from like reading things like the Insider and TwinCities.com, which is a publication out of Minneapolis, they talked about how this nightclub was a popular nightclub, frequented by most black people, and it'll be certain nights Derek Chauvin will just be extra over the top, man. Like at night, the club be letting out. He was just one of them extra guys. So if you've been in, you know you've been in the clubs and the nightlife, and you always seeing that extra if they got security outside the club or whatever. But Derek Chauvin was moonlighting at that club. From understanding, he was getting like $50 an hour or whatever like that. So he worked inside. George Floyd supposedly worked inside. So they may have known of each other, but never had to, you know, because one was outside, one was inside. So they even talked about how he was over the top then. And then when all of this thing went down, I guess from the looting and everything, that people in Minneapolis actually burnt that club down. And ultimately it's knocked down now. You know, so isn't this no surprise? And I'm just looking at the trial, watching it, and as I say, this is today is April the 8th, 2021, and it's after 7 p.m. So the trial ended about 6, a little after 6 here. I think it may have been a little after 4 in Minnesota, in Minneapolis rather, whatever. And the way I'm looking at it, you know, this is day 9. You know, the way I'm looking at it is, man, the defense is just going through the motions. You know, they ain't got the fight is out. You know, I'm just waiting to see how long the judge gonna actually let this go on, because it's only gonna get, it's just gonna get more, it's just gonna get worse the longer this goes on, because everybody that's coming, there's 200 plus witnesses. We ain't even digging to, you know, and this dude, and the way that the prosecution is lining this up with the witnesses and their testimonies, the way they setting this up, man, it's just crazy. Because see, the defense, Chauvin's defense, is trying to make it as if George Floyd was the fentanyl, or he was on meth, like all of this stuff that made him angry. But as we seen a week ago, the video footage showed when he was in the store, he wasn't angry, he wasn't that. And even today, as the medical experts, they all had to view footage, hours of footage, from cell phones to, you know what I'm saying, body cameras. So they all saying like, hey, he had low levels of fentanyl in his system. That didn't kill him. The lack of oxygen killed him. The medical experts, all of them said, the examiners, let me get that right, y'all. Dr. Martin Tobin, the pulmonology expert, like I said, which deals with your respiratory, your lungs and everything, your breathing. That's where he's a top expert in the country, Dr. Martin Tobin in that. And like they all said, no. You know, as many times as Derek Chauvin's defense tried to trip him up, they all said, no, that did not kill him. I don't know how much that didn't kill him. You know what I'm saying? The lack of oxygen. When you close the airways, you close somebody's breathing, with him being down cuffed on his chest, hands behind his back, you got your knee on his neck, and you got your shin on his back, and somebody's holding his legs. He consistently told you couldn't breathe. You never rolled him over. You had trainers come in on day 8 talking about Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. That is not even a move. They don't even know what that is. That's not something they teach in the school, in the training. Even the trainers. So day 8, you had the trainers coming in, and trainers are saying like, no, you had trainers and ex detectives and things of that nature coming in, and they're like, no, you have other experts coming in on day 8, and just like, no, that's not. We don't know what that is. When training, this is what you're taught. Everyone talked about the training day 8. This is what you're taught. That's not what you're taught. If you are to put somebody in like hog tie, we're gonna say hog tie, but they call it something else. If an officer, as far as Minneapolis with their police department, if you were to hog tie somebody, we call it hog tie. Forget they call it something else. The proper term, they call it something else, but we call it hog tie when they tie your arms and your legs and all that like that, and they have you like. For a Minneapolis police officer, they have to call a supervisor in before they even put you in the hog tie, because that is a fatal position to be in, and that could cause ultimately death. So you will have to call the supervisor for that. They kept trying to, this whole week thus far, they've been trying to use the fact that George Floyd was angry or he was on drugs. So when they moved from the angry part, because they figured out, okay, that didn't work. So this week they come in and just trying to use the drug part, as the drugs was the reason why his breathing, like why he died. So today medical experts said no. If he was on fentanyl, he would have went into a coma. He would have passed out or whatever, everything, and you could have brought him back. He didn't even go there. George Floyd just died. But he consistently told you and warned you he couldn't breathe. And the medical doctor, Dr. Martin Tobin, I felt like he was, for today, he was the first one up. I think he was the first one up this morning, because he was there on the stand for a couple hours. To me, Dr. Martin Tobin was the nail in the coffin for the day when it comes to the medical experts, because he even was breaking it down so much so and giving the jury more meat and potatoes, when he said he was counting from when George Floyd was on the ground. He was counting his breaths, counting the time between George Floyd's breaths he was taking before he passed away. I mean, he was going deep, man. Like he was wanting to tell more, but he couldn't. But you watching them, and I'm pretty sure the jury saying like he was really wanting to give more to it. And then the things that the defense, like Derek Chauvin defense, try to come with, he's like, nah, I don't know what you talking about. Nah, that ain't gonna. Nah, the drugs ain't gonna do it. Fentanyl, I don't know how much fentanyl he had in his system. I'm going off of his breathing. I'm going off of what I'm seeing. This is what I'm focused on, the breathing part. You know, I don't know how much I was under I was aware, I was told in notes that I read, and I read thousands. I watched the video footage, hundreds of hours of it. He's like, I was told that it was drugs. I don't know about the drugs. All I'm looking at is we talking about respiratory. I was brought in for the respiratory. The state of Minnesota contacted me. You know what I'm saying? He like, I don't know about, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm not focused on that. And he had very little of that. That wasn't enough in his system to kill him. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to watch how this thing. I'm just wondering when the judge, how long he gonna string this out. And I understand Derek Chauvin, his defense lawyer, is paid by his union, by the police union. So I'm sure they're gonna let it, you know, play out. But yeah, man. His ex-wife knew he was a hothead, Derek Chauvin. She left him. I think, from my understanding, from my reading, she you know, his divorce was finalized this week. So, you know, she knew he was a hothead. She ain't even try to ride it out with him. She knew. She knew he'd been like this. You know what I mean? This was just a nail in the coffin. And then, you know, she met the hospital that George Floyd. Let me get this out of here so I can tell y'all real quick. Yeah, let me get the hospital real quick so I can get y'all the hospital in. Let me get this up for y'all real quick so I can get y'all the proper name. Okay, the Hennepin County Medical Center. This is where they took George Floyd. This is the Hennepin County Medical Center. This is where Derek Chauvin met his wife. She's an x-ray tech, his ex-wife. She worked at this hospital. So this is all embarrassing. That was all embarrassing for her. She like, yo, man, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? You've been wilding. You've been doing wild shit that probably ain't never even make it. You know, stuff that people don't even know. She like, I'm out. So, you know, that says a lot. His wife ain't even hang around for him. They didn't have any kids together. From my understanding, his ex-wife had kids in her previous marriage. She was married to someone else. So she had 2 kids in her previous marriage behind. Derek Chauvin didn't have any children together. You wonder why? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, so that's that. If you haven't checked that trial out as of yet, check it out. You really need to tap in and look and see what's going on, because it's quite interesting. And you know, I've been watching it in between me doing what I gotta do and me working, you know what I'm saying, and everything. I've been watching it, but I had no idea till today. I was actually, you know what I'm saying, dumbfounded. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. He only had one, Derek Chauvin only had one defense attorney? It's like 5 prosecutors. It's a team of prosecutors. He going against, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like, oh, man, you lost already. You ain't Superman. Then today just showed it all. He tripping up. He's like tripping over everything. He's talking about how tired he is. He's talking about his throat. So at one point, the judge called for recess today, and Derek Chauvin's defense attorney Well, the judge took a shot at him on the low, because the judge was like, all right, you know what? Because it was some confusion going on about the paperwork, and that's another thing. The defense attorney was trying to say that he just got the paperwork, some updated paperwork today, some new findings, when actually he had got it on a 6. You know what I'm saying? The prosecution had it documented and was like, no, actually we sent this on the 6th at such and such time. She right on the computer like, no, it's right here. We actually sent it to you. So there was some confusion with that. So the judge said, you know what, we're gonna have recess. And then this will get everyone some chance. Then it give us some chance to get our voices back. Cause the defense, he started talking about, yeah, I'm losing my voice. I'm just a little tired. I'm just, it's just been a long week so far. So it was like the judge was taking shots, threw a little shot at him when they went into recess at one point. So it's like you can see that I don't think his defense gonna make it. He gonna crack before, if it's gonna go a month, he gonna crack by next week. It's gonna be a wrap. Cause every day, man, they hitting them, bang bang, they hitting them. They coming. The prosecution is killing them, man, for real. Can't hang. But that's that, man. Tap in on that George Floyd trial, man, on his murder trial, man, of with Derek Chauvin's trial and the death of George Floyd. Tap into that, man, because you're gonna see a lot of stuff, man. And then understanding that even 2 minutes after George Floyd was non-responsive, up until the point where the EMS come, Derek Chauvin still had his knees on George Floyd. 2 minutes after his passing. The medical experts that already put it out there, they counted the actual minutes that Derek Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck and back after he had passed away. After he was passed. So it's interesting, man. Check it out. Y'all should tap in. But moving on to one more thing real quick. I want to talk about this H.R. 1 bill called the People's Act. And y'all tap into that. Y'all look that up for yourselves and understand what that bill is if you don't know. And that H.R. 1 bill, you see, the People's Act, is what's going on in Georgia. What they trying to they suppressing the votes and everything like that, the voters, and pretty much violating the people of Georgia's rights. It ain't pretty much they're violating the people of Georgia's rights. And what I come to the understanding of, right, is that some of these folks, man, some of these old politicians and things of that nature, these old governors and things of that nature, you know what's the problem? See, they're trying to solidify and keep those old traditions, those old ways of keeping their foot on people's neck and the people's back. They're trying to continue that tradition that they got. That good old boys club. So they're passing these laws and things, and on the back, coming off the heels of what Trump tried to talk about how the voting was rigged. It wasn't rigged, and everybody know that. They know that, but they just trying to play ignorant and use it as an excuse to do what they always been wanting to do anyway, was suppress the votes. Georgia is doing what North Carolina, and I reside in North Carolina. North Carolina was trying this until the Supreme Court judge was like, nah, you can't do that. So North Carolina was trying it first. And it got shot down. It got shot down. It lingered for almost 2 years, and until the Supreme Court judge was like, nah, you can't do that. So the same thing that Georgia's doing, trying to suppress the votes and everything like that, they done passed that. That's fine. But see, that H.R. 1 bill, the People's Act, see, that thing right there, That's gonna stop all of that. See, but think it goes to Senate the 14th of this month. Let me go on my notes here, y'all. The 14th of this month, it goes to Senate. So it's already been passed in the House, from my understanding. I think on the 3rd, April the 3rd, or May the 3rd. Let me get it corrected, y'all. And you know, cause y'all know when I bring something to y'all, I try to make sure that I be coming with the facts. So let's see here. Yeah, I believe in it's pulling up now. So just give me a second so I can give y'all the exact dates on everything, like when. Okay. Let's see here. Trying to wait till everything pulls up. It's kind of slow on me. But anyway, from the looks of it right here, I think it said April the 11th. I mean May the 11th. I don't know why this thing. Okay, so that's wilding out on me. And I'll keep trying to pull it up here. Wilding out on me. Let's see here. Let me go to this one. Yeah, but the HR1 is to combat and stop all of that voter suppression, putting more the HR1 bill, which is called For the People's Act, is to give the voters, the American people, more power, give you more power. You know what I'm saying? And stripping the big big corporations of having so much influence on the candidates. You know what I mean? Having so much say so and things of that nature. I'm trying to get the actual date here. But you know, so what Georgia's doing, you know, is nothing. Once that bill gets passed, you know, if it gets passed on the 14th, April the 14th, 2021, if it gets passed, it's gonna veto that what Georgia's doing. You know what I mean? No state ain't gonna be able to override what top government puts in line and puts in order. They ain't gonna be able to override that. So I believe it's gonna go down, because you just can't you can't do that. And Georgia is being so ignorant to the fact that they're to the point like they're trying to threaten other or not threaten, but trying to, you know, make other corporations feel as though, like, almost trying to talk down on them and say, oh, well, you scared of you scared of the government, you trying to let the Democrats, or you trying to let the Democratic Party try to steer you. No, man, no. The corporations are not having that. They know at the end of the day, first and foremost, sports, entertainment, these corporations, what they understand and if they didn't, and what they started to understand last year made it quite clear. Because a lot of people forgot. 2020 made it quite clear to the world. When you're talking business, you need the people. It's a two-way street. The people need your services, and you need the people. It's business. You know what I'm saying? So what they understand is that you can't keep trying to, you can't forget about the people. You thinking about the dollar, but it's the people that bring you the dollar. And with sports and entertainment, I wouldn't really say too much sports because they always had they knew, you know what I mean? But, you know, you just had some teams in some of these sports leagues that may have, you know, forgot. But in general, man, you know, in sports and entertainment, and when you think about business as a whole, you need the people, man, and the people need your business. You know, it's a two-way street. You just can't look at the dollar. The dollar don't come without the person bringing it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man. So for Georgia, you can't, for the governor, whatever, you can't go scamming these corporations. They ain't trying to hear that. They could take their business to another state that ain't with that. You know what I mean? See, what you about to do to your state is you about to all the money that y'all may have garnered from film, from the sports, from the entertainment, just, you know what I'm saying? You about to strip your whole state of that. But you know, maybe that's part of his plan anyway, because first of all, you know what, a lot of the money coming in Georgia is in Atlanta and Savannah getting that money too. Savannah's bringing money in too. Let's not forget about that too. Okay, a lot of people think about, you know what I'm saying, Atlanta, but that's cool too. But Savannah is bringing money in down there too. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you messing up money for your entire state, man. Where people stand on these people not standing for you suppression and things of that nature. So if people gonna start boycotting your state and not coming there in the whole. And see, once he see that, if nothing else, once he see that, he gonna get it. But if the HR1 bill titled for the People Act, that gets passed on the 14th, April 14th, 2021. It's a wrap anyway, so everything he did means nothing. And at the end of the day, you know what happens is, you know, it's just hatred, man, and it's just pure, just pettiness. That's all it is, petty, being petty. You know, some folks are mad because, you know, Trump ain't get back in there. But my whole thing is like, hey man, what he done for anybody but mess up everything? And y'all still holding on to that? Sad, sad, sad. Like I said before, man, you know, the world is changing. The world has changed as we known it before. It is no longer. The way business was being done in the past can no longer be dealt like that today. And if nothing else has showed you that, if you have not learned that in 2020 during the height of COVID has changed the whole landscape of business. Period. COVID has pulled the sheet back from a lot of other things. We already knew about the racism and, you know, the hatred, you know, that heightened more. But business, the curtain got pulled back from the way government is being ran. Everything, man, it pulled the curtain back, and at the end of the day, it just showed that you need the people, man. You know, if the people can't eat, this world can't move properly. If you don't take care of the people and help the people out, you know what I'm saying? Now, for all of the funding that's been thrown out there, you know, during the pandemic, some of it, you know what I'm saying, I think some of the things need to be monitored a little better, and some of the spending seems obsessive, but it needs to be monitored, because I think some of the people that actually need the funds when it comes to housing and things of that nature, I don't see them getting it, and I see that it will be abused. And when it, you know what I'm saying, when I looked at how things were, you know, when it came to the food and things of that nature, if, you know, I just got my different views on that, which I'm not going to get into that, you know what I mean? But I just feel like certain things, the way things were handled when it comes to funding states and things of that nature, I felt like that money should have been monitored and handled a little better. And I felt like each time they rolled out a stimulus package, I felt like it was like no, you know, I'm talking in a whole. I'm not just talking about the stimulus money that people got, you know, that families got. I'm talking about as a whole, like the funding that was sent for businesses, for people to stay in their homes or keep their apartments, you know, food, the whole way that all of that stuff was handled for schooling and things of that nature, funding for schools and stuff. And I just felt like the whole thing was not, each time it just seemed like it never got, the way they pushing out money is not monitored. And they gave out money to the schools multiple times, and I'm trying to figure out, why are we still having issues? Why are we still hearing things like, oh, some schools still not open like they should be, because they don't have, they haven't put the money that they got to use and actually done their due diligence and set things up in some of these schools as they should, so these students can go back to school. They haven't planned, so they just got this money. And what are you gonna do with the money? You know what I mean? You can hire more teachers, hire more help. You can better manage and set these school districts up better. It's just certain things that I'm looking at. That's just me. You know, I'm looking at it in a totality, and not just the funding that people got for their home, you know, the stimulus money. I'm looking at as a whole, because there's still some schools, districts around this country that haven't, some of these kids still not full capacity, or they're talking about going back to school, but there's still some issues. And I'm trying to figure out why. And then I'm trying to figure out, like, schools for certain, if you're in the South, like, they get out in May, and I'm trying to figure out some school districts haven't even went back, and they talking about going back in another week or two, and I'm like, why? You just two school years in the dumps. Why even trying to go back now? You only got a couple weeks left. You know, if you think about up north and everything of that nature, I don't know how the Midwest is set up, if they get out in May or June. If you from the Midwest, tap in. I don't know how the West Coast do. If y'all get out in June or May, tap in. Let me know if you watching this. But I'm trying to figure out if your school district hasn't gone back, whether you get out in May or June. Hey, man, you might as well let this school year ride out. What are you trying to still figure out for? This is another year lost, but you got time. And you had funding to set up for the next school year. That's all I'm saying. What should have been done for this school year too, because it was funding that came in 2020 as well for the schools. And I'm trying to figure out why things weren't quite done. The government, I mean, in my eyes, the government should have had to say, okay, well, schools should be all going back. We want schools to go back at this time. Nah, all the money that was given, it should have been set up to where these kids could go back. You know what I'm saying? They could have been back in school this year. You know, the country got to move forward at some point. And but I don't know, man. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling on. But yo, that's it. I just wanted to bring to y'all the day 9 of the Derek Chauvin trial and the death of George Floyd. I just wanted to bring you what it's looking like on day 9, and then talk about the HR1 bill, titled the HR1 bill, aka the People's Act. I wanted to bring that to y'all. So look into that HR1 bill, man. If you don't know, then you have a clear understanding. You know, if that bill if everything goes right on April the 14th, 2021, then Georgia won't even have to worry about what that governor did. It's gonna be wiped out. They're just trying to be petty and trying to be funny. You know what I mean? And just trying to keep that system, that system that they had going on, trying to keep it going. And the HR1 bill is nothing more than to strip that type of behavior right there. That's the main point of them trying to put this bill in effect, because of this type of stuff that they've been going on, and this rezoning, gerrymandering, and all of this stuff. Like, this is the main reason why that HR1 bill is trying to pass it, because of that behavior right here. So they just made it. That's the point, and they just made it evident and clear why that bill need to go, you know. But what could you say, man? You know, it's nothing. It ain't nothing new, man. It is just funny that in 2020, you know, when 2020 came in, man, it just pulled the curtain and the rug back from all the other things that been going on in the country. All the ways that the business been ran, the country been ran. Just getting out of control. It just out of control. And a lot of people say, when he returns, in the Bible, when he returns. I just think this is a way that the COVID was the return, a part of it, a portion of the Lord's return. It was a portion, because if he came how he wanted to come, nobody will understand it, because people still ain't even understand, and still ain't understanding COVID. So just imagine, just think about that for a minute. 2020, COVID was the return, was his way of returning to earth, the Lord's way of returning. Because if he came like he wanted to come, wouldn't understand it, and people still don't understand it. They still fighting. They still fighting against against the force, against the nature. It's got to change, and they keep fighting the force. You know what I'm saying? Those you got these demons running around out here still fighting. They fighting against the force. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win against the Most High, man. You're not going to win. And until you bow down, you're not going to win. But greed will keep the ignorant something keep fighting the giant. The greed will make an ignorant something fight the giant. You know what I'm saying? Knowing you're going to lose. But it's greed in your eyes and in your blood and in your heart. See, that's my belief. I'm not saying it got to be your belief. But when I think back and I read what I read, that's how I look at 2020 and the COVID situation. I look at that as his return. That was him returning. His way of returning. He just gave up a little bit. And I say peace and blessings, because all those we lost during 2020 that he brought home, he called home. I say peace and blessings on those souls. But I just feel like he had to get our attention in some way. And he touched a lot of things that was close to us. Think about it. loved ones. It came in your homes, bogarted in your homes and stripped you. Now you gotta humble yourself. Humble yourself. That's all you gotta do. Just humble yourself. Give all praises to the Most High. That's it. But man, I ain't gonna keep preaching to y'all. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Again, this has been another edition of Space Invaders TV. I'm your boy, Rashawn, aka Looker. Excuse me for, like I told y'all, I'm in the process of moving in the next couple of months. So, you know, I had already started, you know, packing some things up. So that's why I look a little different. And do remember, I am going to get back in. Once I get situated after I move, we're going to move on and get back into the historical sites. You know what I mean? I'm going to be showing y'all some more of that. I enjoyed that, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I got so much more to bring it out of y'all because it's real informative, you know. But until next time, peace and blessings be with you and over your whole households. I'm your boy Rashawn. This is Space Invaders TV. I'm out.